Hey everyone, Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast. The Steelers reported to training camp yesterday. The first practice is today, but we got to get to the insight on what we got to talk to Jalen Ramsey about on his first day talking to Steelers media. And it was very interesting because he gave a hint about what his role could be in the secondary, canceling out a theory some people have made. Well, let's talk about Jonnu Smith, an injury with Isaac Seumalo, and more, getting you ready for the first day of training camp. It's the Locked On Steelers podcast. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find the show in your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of our daily Monday through Friday episodes, as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. More on them later. All right, Steelers fans, as you can see, I'm not in my normal surroundings because I'm in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, for Steelers training camp. You're going to see me out here a lot. We're going to be doing a lot of on-the-road things, so pardon our dust as I am not working in my normal surroundings. I don't have my normal equipment, but we do have a lot to talk about, and we are going to bring you everything we can. This show is going to be a little bit shorter than normal because we have a lot of different things we're working on. Again, pardon our dust with it, but I wanted to talk to you guys about Jalen Ramsey now. Jalen Ramsey, of course, we got to talk to Aaron Rodgers. We'll get to Jonnu Smith in a bit. We got to talk to DK Metcalf, a lot of big new names for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, but Jalen Ramsey was the biggest name that we had not had a chance to talk to because that trade happened on June 30th, well after OTAs and minicamp had finished. And so we'd seen Jalen Ramsey with a video he put out on social media and things like that, but now was our chance to get to talk to him. But before we even talk to him, I thought it was interesting. Juan Thornhill came through, the Steelers now presumed starting free safety, and he theorized, he's like, hey, I'm excited to have Jalen Ramsey. He noticed that guy can play outside cornerback, inside cornerback, slot cornerback, or play at free safety. And he kind of theorized about that, and that was a theory that many people had been kicking around about. What if that's the plan for Jalen Ramsey so that Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. can be your primary cornerbacks? Well, Jalen Ramsey got asked that. I want you to pay attention to how he responded, and then I'll give you my take. Here was Jalen Ramsey at Steelers reporting day on Wednesday.
Jalen, do you want to play safety?
I just want to play football. I mean, I don't even know if I can really say this or not. I don't know. Bert might hit me or something. But,
it's all good.
I just want to play football. I don't care where I'm at. Corner, safety, slot. But at the same time, I don't think I'm getting paid what I'm getting paid to not be in the position to affect the game and be in certain spots. So I'll just say that.
So what did that tell you right there? You saw Jalen Ramsey. It was funny. I was talking about this with reporters when he gets asked the free safety question or the where is he going to play question. A lot of new guys to teams, you'll see them say, "Oh, I'll just go wherever the coaches put me," because they don't want to put it out there like they're setting any expectations or the coaches have told. They want to just, hey, we're just not going to give you guys any insight. We're going to give you a very bland answer. But Jalen Ramsey started that way, but he changed it about midway, and you could say he's like, but I'm not getting paid the money. I'm getting paid to not impact the play, impact the plays. And that, to me, right there, the way Jalen Ramsey sort of cut that off and jumped into basically saying, like, I'm here to make a difference. That tells me what I've been telling you on this show for a while. That man is here to play cornerback. If he drops back to safety, it is going to be sort of a de jour role where it's just like, oh, it just happened in the moment where they lined him up in a way and they try to make you think he was covering man-to-man or short, and he dropped back into a deep role. But it's not going to be an official safety role. They're going to have the safeties play safeties. But the key to getting Jalen Ramsey to Pittsburgh was to provide more coverage opportunities up front to cover the short, quick passes that they got destroyed by a lot of those teams later in the seasons, especially the Chiefs game. Go back and look at how many times quick passes from Patrick Mahomes just dissected the defense and disrupted any chance for their pass rush to get there. That's why they got Jalen Ramsey, not to be a replacement for Minkah Fitzpatrick in the deep part of the game, but to be a guy that's lining up closer to the line of scrimmage and playing cornerback. And Mike Tomlin also kind of hinted at how good that or how important that could be to the Steelers defense when he spoke on Wednesday after their conditioning tests. Here was Mike Tomlin from the Steelers.
How does he fit into replacing Minka as part of that equation to you guys?
I don't know that he fits in terms of replacing Minka, but this is a coverage league. You need unbelievable depth and talent at the cornerback position because people have it in their receiver cores. We use a variety of schematics in an effort to minimize passing offenses, but you got to be able to play matchup football. You got to be able to play man-to-man, particularly versus the elite and deep groups. And the talent that we've acquired at that position, particularly the cornerback position, allows us to do that in all circumstances. When you got guys like Jalen Ramsey and Slay and JPJ, man, we can match up and play man-to-man versus anyone. And so that's what's exciting to us, our ability to match up and play man-to-man against anyone in this game. And I think it's going to do nothing but strengthen our schematics, the supplemental things, the zone pressures, the bogus pressures, and things of that nature. And so really excited about the talent that we acquired, particularly at the cornerback position. And you can add Brandon Echols to that discussion as well. We've done an awesome job with fortifying that corner position from a talent and depth standpoint that's going to allow us to match up against some of the many explosive units and players within them that we compete against.
So there you have it. Mike Tomlin basically telling you, look, they went and got Jalen Ramsey. They're excited to play him, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. as cornerbacks in this defense. Now, they might move around occasionally and do different things than a traditional cornerback role, but that's because they trust these guys and their versatility. Joey Porter Jr., a guy that has a good head on his shoulders, a young player, but Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey, you don't got to teach ball to those guys. They're all pros. They know what the deal is. They played the game long enough. They know how to play in these different roles. And that's where the Steelers are going to play a lot of their defense. They're going to try to get those three guys on the field a ton, even when it's not necessarily a nickel formation. They're going to move those guys around, but I don't think it's going to be moving Jalen Ramsey or Darius Slay into a free safety role. It is going to be having them play traditional cornerback. They want to be able to take away your top passing or receiving options, whether that's a fast receiver, a quick fast receiver, or a big tall receiver, or an ultimate threat like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, or even a tight end. I think they're fully expecting these guys to take away those quicker passes, and I think that's a huge part of those schematics that Mike Tomlin was talking about and what the Steelers are trying to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to continue on this point and flow that into what it seems to be like they're going to be doing with Jonnu Smith at the tight end position for the offense, and how it kind of relates to what they're talking about doing with the Steelers cornerbacks in their defense. That's next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you, this show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. I've used Yahoo Fantasy for my fantasy football leagues for years, and it's always been a great experience. From smooth draft days to get a great to a great mobile app, Yahoo Fantasy football has been fantastic. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. Stay tuned to get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet by going to play Yahoo Fantasy Football. We're back here in the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Again, please pardon our dust as we are, the sound and video may not be the best right now because we are in a place where we're staying at in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, as we are out here covering Steelers training camp for the next 3 or so weeks. But let's continue the point here. My ultimate thing here is that Mike Tomlin, you heard him talk about the fake blitzes, the dummy blitzes, the different type of blitzes that they want to throw at throw at offenses. The Steelers want to be aggressive, but they need the cornerback position to be able to take away matchups, to take away certain things, to be more aggressive. Because when they tried to be aggressive last year at times, teams were able to quickly throw their way out of it because the Steelers were in a position where, if Dante Jackson and Corey Trice were hurt, they were kind of low down on the cornerback position, and and their best coverage man was Minkah Fitzpatrick, and he was way far off the ball. And if you're in an offense that can get if you're a good quarterback that knows where to get the ball quickly, like Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, you can beat that. And that's what happened in those last 4 or 5 games of the season, where they were, those quarterbacks were like, you know what, we're just going to take what the Steelers are giving us, because they don't have the coverage guys that are close to the line of scrimmage to consistently run with our guys. And I think that's a lot of what happened down the stretch there. And that's what the Steelers are counteracting with. And again, I think this all plays into a bigger plan where they're going to have these guys, whether they're officially cornerbacks or not, play sort of positionless cover roles. And Mike Tomlin even went on to talk about this a little bit more in his press conference. If you missed the full thing, should be places up where has the full press conference available. I believe we have it over at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, so go check that out. But in talking about that, I think he's talking about like, hey, like, look, you guys want to get specific with your outside quarterbacks, your slot cornerbacks, your safety. We see guys that are cover men. That's what the way they're looking at these guys. And yes, in their room, I'm sure they have like a CB over the official slot role or whatever. But the bottom line is they want these guys to be able to take away receivers. That's the primary role of the corners that they have brought in. They're really confident that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be figuring it out this year. They're really confident that Darius Slay is going to be a solid to really good corner this year after leading the NFL in pass breakups last season. And they're really confident that Jalen Ramsey is still going to be a dog in the secondary the way he has been for pretty much his whole career. Go back and look at the last game of the season last year where they played the Jets, and how he just abused Garrett Wilson all over the field. You look, this guy, he looks to bully wide receivers, and he's going to have another physical guy in Joey Porter Jr. and a tactical guy in Darius Slay. They're going to be using these guys in different matchups all throughout the year to cover various targets. And I think that's a smart thing to do for the Steelers. It'll be very interesting to see what Mike Tomlin, Terrell Austin, and this team dig up. Don't forget Gerald Alexander, too, the secondary coach. He's a big part of this plan. I think this group is going to be very aggressive and very diverse in how they line up. But also, don't forget that could play into how the offense works as well. And that's Jonnu Smith, where he comes in. Jonnu Smith, of course, tight end. Had great, Mike Tomlin brought up that he led the NFL tight ends in yards after the catch last year. He's a premier receiving threat, but that does not mean that he's specifically going to be stuck at tight end 2 behind Pat Freiermuth, or tight end 1 if they want to use him there. I think, and Mike Tomlin kind of hinted at this, they're going to line up Jonnu Smith all over this offense, whether he's split out wide as a wide receiver, as the second sort of receiver guy behind DK Metcalf, line up in line as a tight end, line up in the slot. They're going to be moving him around, just like I think they're going to be moving Pat Freiermuth around. I think this offense is going to get very diverse and have some positionless offense going on out there. And when I say positionless offense, some people probably thinking, what does that mean? It means where teams used to be stuck because, the running back is the running back, and the running back, can't run certain routes. Well, now there's plenty of running backs now who can line up in the slot and run a pretty good route to get open and beat a cornerback, a safety, or a linebacker to get open on a certain route. I think that's what the Steelers are looking to do, but from the wide receiver and tight end position, and maybe even the running back position as well. I think Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson are more traditional running backs than say like Le'Veon Bell, who could line up in the slot and just cut people up with his route running ability. That was one of his more underrated features of his game. But I think that's where Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith are going to play a big part in this offense as well, along with DK Metcalf. And I will also say Calvin Austin. They're going to be happy to move these guys around, use them in diverse ways, and give Aaron Rodgers several tools to pick at people with. Because like Mike Tomlin is saying, for their defense, they want to have cornerbacks that can match up with anybody and run with anybody. He wants to play a lot more man covers this year. He wants to let these guys be able to bump and run and be aggressive and set the tone and be the cover men that make life hard for offenses. I think it's going to be similarly on the flip side of the Steelers offense on opposing defenses, in that they're going to put these guys in positions to win more matchups. Going to say, hey, how many guys do you have that can efficiently cover tight ends in space like Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith, who are good route runners, good pass catchers, and good with when the ball is in their hands? Probably only so many guys that can do that. Oh, and by the way, if you're paying attention to those guys, don't forget DK Metcalf, who can take the top off your defense as well. Oh, by the way, if you're paying all attention to that, Calvin Austin runs a 4-3-1. He can get behind you guys really quickly. And by the way, you have an offensive line that's probably going to give Aaron Rodgers a bit more time in the pocket. And if Aaron Rodgers has time and he's comfortable, he can get the ball out, he can find open guys, and that can make this defense or this offense more dangerous as a big play offense. I'm not saying they're going to be top tier or anything like that, but I think that plays into that positionless football is going to be part of the strategy this season on both sides of the ball, and it's going to be very interesting to see in these coming weeks what's going to happen with the first day of with all throughout training camp. We're going to talk about the first day of training camp. That's going to be next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, because we got unfortunate news about Isaac Seumalo, but good news about everyone else. We'll talk about that next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. If you're like me, you probably have a lot of subscriptions and place a lot of orders online. Over time, that adds up to be a lot of money. Well, with Monarch Money, you can keep a close watch on all that spending in an easy to see or presentation. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDON for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year, only at Monarch Money. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, I'm your host, Chris Carter. We continue our episode here today, wrapping up the first training camp, but the first practice is today, this day, Thursday. I'm recording on Wednesday, of course, but if you're watching this or listening to this on Thursday, this will be the first practice. Now, all the Steelers are healthy except for one player, and that is Isaac Seumalo, who Mike Tomlin said has a soft tissue injury, and he's on the NFI list, which means non-football injury list, which means this probably happened something away from either practice or training at the facility or anything like that, and he should be back. Now, Isaac Seumalo has been a guy who's been dealing with injuries since he's been with the Steelers. It seems like he's injured, but he's going to be able to play. But you do want to see him be healthy. In the meantime, you're going to see Spencer Anderson, a seventh-round guy, stepping in and getting some experience at the guard position. He's played for the Steelers a few times when Seumalo's gotten hurt and when other guys have gotten hurt. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he plays there. But that's your only injury concern. But the cool thing is for the Steelers, we're going to get to see all these guys in training camp live working today. If you're going to Latrobe, feel free to say hi if you see me, but be sure to come out and have a good time, because you're going to see Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith for the first time, all practicing together just like we are, and it's going to be truly spectacular. And I think there's a lot to learn from this team. Now, remember, the biggest parts of this team, I think, that have to succeed if this team is going to go anywhere, and it is the offensive defensive lines. They need to be able to control the line of scrimmage to be better there. If those groups take steps forward, I think everything else starts to fall into place, and then we get to talk about how serious of a threat could the Steelers be. But they need those things to fall into place. And there will be a lot to talk about with Spencer Anderson filling in at guard right now, Broderick Jones at left tackle, Troy Fautanu at right tackle, Zach Frazier at center. There's a lot to discuss there. Derek Harmon starting at defensive as a defensive end next to Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton, and how those guys fit all together. That's certainly going to be a talking point. But tomorrow or today, I guess, this first week of practice, you're going to see the Steelers not putting on pads, and it's going to be more about the skill guys getting things in look. And it's going to be really interesting to see Aaron Rodgers in that position, being a guy. How smooth is he right out the gate with his receivers? How quick is he getting the ball out? How in sync with his guys is he going to be? Because, we've seen plenty of veteran quarterbacks come in and start up training camp. We didn't get to see Russell Wilson last year because he wasn't, healthy. He got injured with a blocking sled accident, wherever the heck that was. Justin Fields came in, and Justin Fields was okay. He was using his legs a lot more. But, before that, you had Mitch Trubisky, who didn't look too great in training camp at times. Then you had Kenny Pickett, who was okay. But this is Aaron Rodgers. We haven't seen anything like this since Ben Roethlisberger. And Ben Roethlisberger was a guy who, this was his offense. This was something that you kind of got used to when Steelers fans kind of got spoiled. I got spoiled watching him at training camp being like, oh, yeah, they got Ben. They're fine. The offense is going to know where to go with the ball. This is going to be brand new guy to brand new offense. And not just a brand new guy, a legendary brand new guy. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how does he connect with DK Metcalf, with Calvin Austin, with Roman Wilson, with Jonnu Smith, with Pat Freiermuth in the passing game, and how do they line up against those top covermen that we've been talking about. All of that is going to be a very juicy battle that is going to be fun to watch all throughout the training camp, and that's why I'm really excited to see how things play out there. But also, don't overlook the potential of the linebackers playing a role in this, and the safeties as well. We're talking about corners as well. Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, a big part of this is too. Patrick Queen, one of the questions I asked him was about communication and how his role is going to increase without Minkah Fitzpatrick, and he acknowledged that. He said, "Hey, I'm supposed to be a leader. He said, I am a leader. I'm going to be leading more this year with my voice, with my vocals, getting the communication out, making sure everyone's on the same page. That's a big part of what he has to improve at this year, because I think that he struggled with that at times last year. And then Juan Thornhill, talking to him, I thought it was really interesting. I asked him about, his role in deep safety position and things like that. And he kind of went in and he was just like, look, he's like, people may think that, I was bad because my numbers were down as far as production, but people weren't taking shots at me when I was playing deep safety. People avoided me. And he even said that's a lot of what happened to Minkah Fitzpatrick. He said Minkah Fitzpatrick, it was like still an elite, great safety. He said he's like, that guy made so many plays by simply being in the position to not let you be able to make plays on the deep ball. He's like, that's what I'm going to bring. And I think it was very interesting that Juan Thornhill brought that up, because I think, again, if Minkah Fitzpatrick, if he's doing that at a high level, that's still valuable, right? That's still like saying, hey, Minkah Fitzpatrick's doing a good job of being the safety. But like we've been saying, and as Jalen Ramsey said, when you're paying someone that amount of money, you need them to do more than that. You need them to be playmakers. And that may not be on Minkah Fitzpatrick for not being a playmaker. It might just be for his position is just a tough position to make those plays from when he's so far off the ball. That's why Jalen Ramsey's saying he's kind of saying, I don't think I'm going to be back there. I'm going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. I think that's the key to say here about Juan Thornhill is like, look, if Juan Thornhill can come into camp and be the deep safety option and be the guy that keeps the deep ball from hurting the Steelers, that's great. Because guess what? He's not making $20 million a year the way that Minkah Fitzpatrick was for the Steelers. And so you're paying a decent price to be able to get guys. I think that's going to be a big part of what the Steelers look to do in 2025, because I think that they want to have those guys there. They want to have these guys communicating, but they want to be able to be aggressive. And I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have your Juan Thornhill's guys that keep the lid on things. You're going to have Patrick Queen communicating, keeping things together and making sure everyone's where they're supposed to be. But you're going to see this defense with a lot more aggression. I think you're going to see them trying to be more aggressive to stop the run, more aggressive to blitz, more aggressive in how they want to play man-to-man, get different coverage matchups, and that could lead to a lot of different styles of play than we haven't seen over the past few years. So lots to see there. We'll see all of that here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. And I'm your host, Chris Carter. Thanks again for tuning into the Locked On Steelers podcast. Well, I do apologize for this being a shorter episode, but again, please pardon our dust as we are on the road. We're managing a lot of different factors. I will be here all throughout training camp, breaking things down, getting you my insights, talking about what we see from practice to practice. Be sure to follow all of that on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes, as well as our bonus content. Reminder, subscribe so you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, wherever you get your social media. It's at Carter Critiques. That's my handle. You can also check me out in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, post-gazette.com. I've got 2 stories up today. I believe my Camp Battles story should be up today, and I have what's called the Skinny Post, where I break down a lot of the elements that I talked about with Jalen Ramsey and why I don't think he's here to play free safety based off of what we've seen. Read all of that in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette at post-gazette.com, and find me here on the Locked On Steelers podcast back tomorrow when we recap the first day of training camp and what things looked like for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see you here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.